Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Mountain Valley Farm, and welcome to episode 16 of our 1 year series. We're just going to play Mountain Valley Farm, I think, for 1 year. That could change, of course, with me being involved with the challenge that I talked about the last episode, pretty much talked about it the entire episode. With me being involved in that challenge, it might sort of persuade me perhaps to look at maybe playing this map a second year, only because it might be a little easier to kind of keep both going. Sort of, again, going back to a commitment that I kind of made for folks that I fully understand don't have the time to sit down and watch an hour-long episode. I try to keep these the recorded Let's Play series down to around 30, 35, 45 minutes. Sometimes I go over. It just kind of depends on what we're doing and what we've got going on and everything, what we need to accomplish and everything. But still, I think I still want to keep a recorded Let's Play episode, something that I do, not via live stream, something that I do and produce, put together, upload, and all that kind of stuff that you guys are accustomed to seeing and doing. So we are, I think I said at the end of episode 15 that I was going to finish tethering, that I was going to rake, and then we'd come together for episode 16 and basically bail. But I kind of thought that it would kind of break things up a little bit if I went ahead and did most of the raking. I tethered everything, and boy, I had a bear of a time, and I guess maybe the pun is intended in that reference. I had a bear of a time getting the majority of the grass tethered into hay. Now the good thing is that you'll still see some bits and pieces of grass laying on the ground that the tether just didn't pick up or didn't flip over and turn into hay. It will all be okay because the majority of what's out here on these fields is in fact hay, and so even if we pick that up with the baler, it's going to turn that into hay, because it's going to basically look at more or less what the majority of the material is that's getting picked up. And well, the majority of the material that's getting picked up obviously is going to be hay. So hey there. Anyway, we'll just kind of merge these two rows together as best as we can here, and then we will call it good. And again, pretty much I'm pretty much done with the raking. This will get everything hopefully raked up into this nice swath here, and then we will go back up to the main farm and grab our baler and then come back down, and then I decided that I will pick up the hay off camera. I'll do that since I'm going to use the auto loading trailer anyway. You guys are going to have ample opportunity to see how auto loading stuff works with my live stream challenge play, because obviously we'll be using that during that challenge play because of time. After all, playing at 15x speed, you don't really have the luxury to be, especially when you have two left hands like I do, trying to operate the stacker and all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't bode well. Anyway, hope you all are having a wonderful day. I basically recorded this episode just about 30 minutes or so after 45 minutes or so after I finished up episode 15, so it's still I think the 13th of July, and I'm going to try to get some of this farm sim stuff out. I've kind of put flight sim on hold for just a little bit, simply because while the PMDG 737 did release on the 12th of July, so yesterday, as I record this episode, it did release yesterday on Wednesday, I believe, or actually maybe it might have been Tuesday night. But in any event, I'm going to kind of put farm sim a little bit on, or flight sim on hold for just a little bit, and we will resume it and get some content, sporadically into the channel. I know that probably the smart thing to do would be to come up with some kind of schedule that sort of says that, I'm going to play this particular game on this particular day, and you guys are going to see it on this particular day. I just don't know if I am disciplined enough, and I'll be honest with you. Let me be very honest with you and just say that I don't know if I am disciplined enough to sort of put myself into that sort of corner and say that, I'm only going to do this particular game on Monday night, and therefore on a Tuesday you're going to see this particular type of game on the channel. I know that the full-time YouTubers, I know that they sort of do that. They sort of have a schedule where on Monday, if they're live streaming or recording or whatever, they will show you this particular game, and on Tuesday it will be this particular game. The thing about that is maybe for someone that is full-time, in other words, they don't have a 45 to 50, sometimes 60 hour a week job that takes them out of the home and everything. They could do that. And as a matter of fact, I would, if you were to ask my advice, if you were to say, Jerry, I'm looking at becoming a content creator full time, what would you suggest that I do? I would actually say, definitely have a schedule, especially if you're going to live stream. Because live stream, the way I look at it, at least when I go out to view somebody's channel that's sort of live streaming, is I sort of look at it as my own TV, like my own TV setup, where if I turn on the TV on a Thursday night, there might be Law and Order on or something like that. That's when I want to watch that particular show. Well, if I've got somebody that's live streaming that I really like their channel, I really like their content, then maybe on a Tuesday, morning or whatever, if they're doing flight sim, that's when I want to see, them do flight sim. So for somebody that's full-time, obviously I think it makes sense. For me, again, the reason why I think it would sort of paint me into a corner is because it's really all about sort of mood and interest. What interests me? What sort of mood am I in? Am I in the mood for just a casual play of farm sim where I can sort of move at my own pace and I can enjoy sort of the sounds and I can take my time and I can do something, or am I sort of in the mood for ATS multiplayer, or am I in the mood for flight sim? And it really is sort of like I don't really map out a lot of what I'm doing with these episodes. I mean, true, yes, I know as we sort of vacated episode number 14, I knew that grass work would be the focus of 15, and sort of as we ended episode 15, I sort of knew that we would sort of continue the grass work and we would be baling hay today for this episode. So I sort of think about it like that, because obviously we need to get these things done, because sort of the seasons mod does dictate that a little bit. If I look at the weather forecast, for example, the reason why I wanted to do the grass work and everything today, we might have been a little bit better off by waiting a day for the grass to grow a little bit more, but we've got rain coming up on Monday. And if for whatever reason, if that was inaccurate, or we didn't get it all done, or whatever the case might be, then we could have the wet crop situation, and that would prevent us from being able to tether and or have some kind of loss or something like that. And so I kind of thought, well, we'll do this if at some, I should be able to get, although, this is a little bit different, the grass is different if it's giant's grass. What we call giant's grass is just sort of the default grass. That obviously is different than planted grass. We don't get near as much yield off of this type of grass product, but I guess my point is that I think I should be able to get 2 cuttings if we need it, if I desire to do it that way. We should be able to get 2 cuttings, and whether I do that on camera or do that off camera, I don't know. We'll just cross that bridge whenever we get down there to it. But my point being is that, I don't do a whole lot of planning in advance. I really, when I started this series, I could not have told you that we would be baling hay on episode number 16. There was just, I just don't do it that way. Some people may do it. Some people may lay everything out in a planner and say, okay, I'm going to start and this is what we're going to do, and they just sort of adjust if things go a little bit haywire. But I don't do that. And so the same thing sort of applies, that when I get home from work, I don't even know if I'm going to play, if I'm even going to game that evening. The wife may have other plans. She may want to go out or something, or maybe there's something that needs to be done around the house. And so it's just, you're just going to kind of get things as sort of I'm in the mood to bring them to you. And I realize that, it doesn't, well, I'm just going to end it at that, and that's how we're going to do things. And I think it's going to work out fine, folks. It's going to be just fine. And the key is, I want to have fun. If this becomes too much like a job for me, then I'm going to suffer, and you're going to suffer, because the type of material and stuff that you're going to be seeing is not going to be fun and fine and all that stuff. So unfortunately we're not getting as great a yield out of this hay as I had sort of hoped. I had hoped that maybe, just maybe, we could even, especially if we're only planning on playing this map 1 year, I had kind of hoped that we would get enough silage bales, so enough grass to turn into silage, and enough hay to sort of last us. I had hoped that the baler would be spitting out a lot more grass than or a lot more hay than it's doing. Of course, we still have several rows, and then we have the other smaller field that we have yet to do, and so we obviously will get to all of that. But I don't know if we have enough to get through the year. And certainly if we're thinking about playing this map a second year, if that is what's going to end up happening, then again, we may have to sort of adjust our strategy. And of course, that's all part of the fun, because I sort of like playing without really knowing what I'm going to do from one day to the next, or certainly from 2 days out or 3 days out, because again, I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that while in real life farming, obviously our counterparts that are doing this in the real world, they do have somewhat of a schedule. I think they must have, but obviously weather and stuff like that does throw sort of a wrench in the fan, if you will, and they have to adjust, and so we do the same thing. But we are, episode 15 took place in this late spring game day. Obviously, this is episode 16 taking place also in the same game day, and so most likely, I would suspect that this might be the only episode, or the last episode for. I'm missing a whole lot, aren't I? Let me circle around and get that again. Get some of these spots here. There may only be obviously 2 episodes for this game day, and that's fine. Some game days have more and some have less, and that's okay. We're still playing at 5x speed, and of course, I can sort of adjust that if I want to. There's certainly nothing that dictates me playing at any sort of set speed on this map. Unlike the challenge series, where I've got to play constantly at 15x speed. Again, it's a challenge. It's certainly somewhat taking me out of my comfort level. And as I've mentioned in the live streams, I think it's good that occasionally we do take ourselves out of our comfort level, that we do sort of push ourselves just a little bit. And of course, this is just a game at the end of the day. So I mean, it really doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter what we do and whether we do things or don't do things. It's still just a game, and the real world has to come first. But it's still fun to challenge yourself. It's still fun to do that, and that's why I've enjoyed playing that challenge. But like I said in the previous episode, you know, you guys, I will be well into probably the 10th, 11th, 12th game day of the challenge before you guys even see this video, just because I do have quite a few farm sim videos queued up that I have yet to release. And so even as I'm recording this one, I've got a couple that I haven't even edited, so here on this map. So it's quite possible that, you know, this series will wrap itself up, especially if we only go one season, in just a few more weeks. I mean, I don't think that this will certainly get drawn out much further than that, just simply because it is a much smaller operation. I mean, I think once we get into the harvesting season, obviously that's going to kind of go quick, and there'll probably be quite a bit of harvesting that you will see. But considering that you guys haven't seen harvesting for quite some time, since Lawfolds, that's been several weeks since I've run a combine harvester in Farm Sim 17. Obviously, you know, it's all about a story that we tell and showcase, and it's all fun. It's all fun to me. I really, you know, I suppose that, yeah, plowing is probably my least favorite thing that we do in this game on a regular basis, and even then we don't do it on a regular basis. Of course, we do it on a I suppose we do it on a regular basis if we are playing only one season per map, because obviously if you're going to if you want to go for maximum crop yield and everything, you're going to plow your fields before you plant them, especially with Seasons mod, because you basically start out with nothing on the fields. Everything is knocked back. But at the same time, I guess that probably forestry is my next least favorite thing to do, just because I'm not very good at it. But obviously forestry was kind of key for this series, this map, because we had to clear all that space for our fields and everything, and define our fields and all that fun stuff. So also forestry is sort of going to be an element within the challenge map, within the Old Guy Farmer challenge live stream series that I'm doing, just simply because it becomes a source of money. It becomes a source of money so that we can fund other equipment, newer equipment, bigger equipment, and everything. And by the way, I don't even know if I mentioned this in episode 15, which I extensively talked about the challenge and my live streaming and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, you know, we can't cheat money in. We can't, you know, we get starting equipment. We get enough starting equipment in that on that map to do us justice. But, you know, obviously, whatever our strategy is, if we want to sell some of that, if we want to, and I have, I've basically sold quite a bit of the starting equipment to either just sort of get it off the books so that we're not paying the daily maintenance costs for it until we actually need it, or choosing to get something a little bit less expensive. Now, of course, there is a bit of a criteria with regards to that, in the sense that if we choose to use a mod, and I am using quite a few mods on the series, on the challenge, they have to be reasonably priced. So in other words, you know, there are some mods out there that the person, or maybe even you, the player themselves, have edited the mod to reduce either the daily maintenance costs, or to reduce the amount of the sale price of the particular piece of equipment. And the only stipulation that we have with regards to mods is that they have to be reasonably priced. And so for me, because I'm not a real life farmer, so, you know, I don't really necessarily know how much some of this stuff, you know, costs and everything like that. I could research it, I suppose. But so for me, I'm sort of using a lot of the mods from the Giants Mod Hub, and I'm not necessarily saying that those are going to be 100% accurate, but at least it's sort of a fair way of sort of determining how the stuff is going to sort of pan out. So, like for example, we get three tractors as we start the map. And one of them is a JCB, one of them is the Sammy, and then the other one is I can't think of the name of it right now. But anyway, I've elected to basically sell all three of those tractors, and I went with the Ford pack that came out part of the mod contest, I believe. And so they're a cheaper price. The other stipulation that I didn't talk about in episode 15 is that our tractors have to be below 250 horsepower. So in other words, we can't throw in a humongous, big T8 or something like that into the mix. We have to, and of course, the T8 would cost a lot more too. So I was actually able to sell all three of those tractors, including the combine, and I've been able to pick up a piece of land or a field. I've been able to pick up 2 Ford tractors. I've been able to also pick up the Scorpion King to do some forestry. And as of the present time, what I did in the previous episode that I live streamed last night, which again will kind of be old news by the time you guys even watch this, is we cut down a whole bunch of trees. And so I'm sort of hoping that all of that timber that we basically cut will be worth over $100,000, maybe $150,000 once we take it to the timber mill. So, but hey, I'm gonna kind of stop talking about the challenge because I've talked about it all throughout episode 15, and so we'll just we've got about 8 minutes or so of this episode. I don't know if we'll get the baling done. Quite possibly we will. Like I said, I'll be picking up the bales off camera, and then when we come back together for episode number 17, then most likely I will have already stacked those bales and got them in the barn, and then we will probably advance into the next game day, and then at that point we'll be finding something else to do. I think that we probably need to go down and weed the 2 soybean fields at that point, so that'll be probably something that we need to do the next game day, which is depicted as Sunday up there on the screen. So that's the first day of summer. Whether we will have anything to harvest on that day, I sort of doubt it. I'm not even going to look at the crop status right now, but I sort of doubt that that will be the case. So we'll find some other things to do and have fun getting it all done. I need to touch base with the store and find out when we think that it looks like that bale is going to come out as grass. That's okay. We'll feed that to our animals quick like, because obviously grass deteriorates after 2 days, after 2 game days. So that bale came out as grass. In any event, we're going to have fun doing whatever it is that we're doing. And so it's, there's something about the terrain. There's something about the terrain of these fields, because the baler's not even, picking up some of this swath unless I kind of go over it again and just make absolute sure that I'm square over it. Normally, that could be the baler, but I think also based on some of the issues that we had with both raking and tethering, I'm sort of thinking that it still has to do with the terrain of that. And of course, we could have plowed this and planted grass on this, but it would have obviously taken much longer and much more effort, much bigger effort to do that. And then also we wouldn't have access to the grass as quickly as what we've basically been able to get access to it by just sort of going with the Giants grass. And again, I fully know that we could have could have waited just a little bit, another day or two, and probably had more grass, a little bit higher yield perhaps. But then again, that might have shorted us on being able to cut again. And I know it sort of all kind of maybe comes out at the end a little bit, because you factor in the time, the effort, the labor, the fuel and everything to do this. But I don't think that we would have had a tremendous amount of extra grass. And I have in the past, I've sort of always cut grass in the late spring. So I don't know, maybe that's just poor planning on my part to do it that way. But let's just see how many bells that we did today. And I'm going to save because the lights just flickered, and I certainly do not want to lose my progress. So bells, created bells. So 23 bells in this session. Again, I've got to say I'm a little bit disappointed. I had hoped that we would have had more bells come off this. I was kind of hoping that number was about double that, because to mix up total mix rations, you basically need to go with 1 bell of straw and either 2 bells of silage and a bell of hay, or 2 bells of hay and a bell of silage. And so I was hoping that the number of hay bells would be twice as much than what we netted off of it, because I was going to do the ratio as 1 bell of straw, 1 bell of silage, and 2 bells of hay for the total mixed rations ratio. But we'll just go with it the way that we are doing it, and then we'll most likely just have to cut some more, or maybe even buy some. I mean, we've got plenty of money. We haven't really been playing this series in the sort of starving farmer career mode kind of thing that I like to call it. And so we could always just buy some hay, or maybe I'll do some off-camera work and go and cut those other fields that we have access to. We've got lots of different opportunities, I suppose, regardless of the direction that we choose to go. So I'm gonna cut this episode a bit short, where the timer says about 27 minutes. So I think by the time I do just a slight bit of editing, we'll be under 30 minutes. And so I'll just wrap things up and just say thank you all so much for watching my episodes. I do appreciate it. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I hope everything is going well for you this summer. And I'm going to go ahead and park in here, because most likely we need to change the wheels out for our episode where we're going to do the weeding. So I will do that, and just tell you all thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and come back again real soon to the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye.